My first one I hadn't seen. This one I was pleasantly surprised by how much I liked it, and it's another one where it involves cloning, and it's a kind of pseudo, because all of these movies kind of take place in the future or like the near future. Um, and the island was it was a techno future. Same thing with the Sixth Day. It's a lot of like robots and futuristic flying cars and shit. And so this takes place in kind of a dystopian society where when you are about to die, basically, okay, sorry, let's start back up. It stars Karen Gillan, and it's hard to explain. It's like,
Karen Gillian?
yeah, Karen Gillan, yeah, it stars her.
Oh.
And it's a kind of like a dark comedy. It's kind of it's one of those movies where like characters kind of say ridiculous things like straight, like kind of movies. It's really hard to describe, but
Currently dying, and I would like to schedule a consultation.
Sarah,
hi there.
I'm sure you're familiar with the process. When you know you're going to die, you can have yourself cloned.
You have very clean skin.
I like your shirt.
But life has thrown you a curveball. You're not dying anymore.
The duel to the death will be in approximately 1 year.
Wait, did you say duel to the death?
Karen Gillan plays a woman who
I'm gonna need you to stop dying on stream.
she's living in kind of a boring, like lifeless kind of life where like the movie literally opens where she's just chilling there watching adult movies. Her boyfriend calls and she lies to him and is like, yeah, goes back to watching her adult movies. And she discovers that she's going to die. The doctor very coldly tells her she's going to die. And she's offered the opportunity to participate or to pay to participate. It costs a lot of money in this program where you are, I can't remember what they call it in the movie, but you're cloned, you're doubled. And you spend the time before you're about to die teaching your double how to be you. And the more time you have before you die, the more time they have to effectively become you so that they can become you and replace you in your life so your family doesn't get sad when you die.
Okay.
And in the very rare case where you don't die, the clone has the legally constitutional right to challenge you to live. And you then fight your clone to the death on national... Sorry?
There can only be one?
There can be only one. And you fight your clone to the death on national television in like a gladiatorial style fight. And whoever dies, whoever lives, basically whoever kills the other one, gets to assume the identity, basically, legally speaking.
Okay.
And
all right, I'm following you.
And so once basically that has been decided, the original, they both have a year to prepare for this duel, essentially. And so and once, basically, in the rare instance it turns out that the person's not going to die, the other part of this is they can opt to have the clone be the only way you're allowed to do this is when you're dying, because legally speaking, two of the same person can exist at the same time. So when it turns out you're not dying, you can either opt to have your clone decommission. But if the clone applies to be a person, that's when the duel happens. And so she the clone immediately like takes over her life and is just like a better version of her. And like one part of it, like, is she refuses to call her mom. She's become distant with the boyfriend, and so like the clone is like more attentive with the boyfriend. She talks to the mom, all that sort of stuff. And what the mom wants is not unreasonable. Like the mom just wants her to like be like hang out with her and spend time with her, but she acts like she's really put upon. It's just, so again, it's a weird comedy. And so the original Sarah, she goes to train to do this duel so she'll live, because she ultimately decides that she's going to kill this clone and she's going to live. And so she meets up with Aaron Paul, who is a trainer who spends a year training her to kill this clone.
Bang, bang, bang. The gun jammed.
The first 2 shots missed, but the last one got me in my side. It missed my vital organs, though.
Boom! Nice thinking. Destroying my weapons cache would have definitely sealed my fate.
And then a good portion of the movie is them like developing a friendship. And it hits a point where like she has to pay. Part of this is she has to pay for this training to get better at killing him. And it gets to a point where the fight is coming up and it gets canceled due to this extreme weather storm. And Aaron Paul's like, if you want to pay for this, you know, there's other ways you could pay for it that don't involve money. You know, if you catch my drift. Please tell me you catch my drift.
I do. You don't need to do anymore.
And he says it twice, and so it gets to a point where he's like, so you know how you said I could, and he's like yeah, and so there's a whole thing where he's like, in order to train for this fight, I need you to like work out outside of work, so find something to do to help you get into shape. And so the thing she chooses to do is take dance classes. And so this pays off, and he's like, okay, so yeah, you're going to do this, you know, whatever for me. It's implied that it's that. And it turns out that no, he just wanted her to teach her how to do hip-hop breakdancing. And so this is like extended sequence of him teaching her hip-hop breakdancing. And unfortunately, Jordan and audience, I'm going to have to spoil the end of this movie. But it is a good movie, and it is totally worth checking out. Karen Gillan is really good in it. She does a dual role of both, obviously, her and the clone. So she does all this training, and she runs into she sees the clone, and on instinct, she tries to shoot the clone, which escapes, and she runs after the clone, and she corners her. And it's like, you can't kill me before the duel, like that's illegal or whatever, that's against the rules. And they start to like reconnect and develop a friendship, because part of the whole thing is early on she obviously has to kind of develop a friendship with her, and as she wasn't dying, they kind of became friends and then kind of grew despondent with each other. But she kind of becomes friends with her again, and they eventually decide that they're going to escape. Like no one has ever tried to escape. Like one of them has tried to escape, but usually they get collected and taken back. No one's ever tried to escape together, and so they try to escape together, and the clone like it's poisons Sarah, the original, and sort of hints that unlike the entire time, she's like, yeah, we've both been preparing for this. Oh yeah, we've totally both been. It's not like we didn't spend the entire year not preparing for this and weren't prepared at all. And so it's sort of hinted that the clone, unlike the original, spent no time preparing for this duel and just didn't do anything, and so chose to poison Sarah, the original, and kills her with poison and disposes of the body, and pretends to be her and takes over her life anyway. And then like, in the end, ironically...
So she cheats.
Yeah, essentially. And she ends up taking over the original's life anyway. And in the end, just becomes trapped in the original's life like the original was, and becomes the original anyway. In a bit of irony.
And then the sequel is she clones herself, and we have the clone wanting to fight a new clone.
Yeah,
And
but I was surprised. I was like, this is kind of interesting. The idea of like, yeah, two of you can't exist, and that everything that just how dispassionately they're okay with what is effectively a version of the Hunger Games. Like I say, Karen Gillan is quite good in it, and the ending is a fun little twist. It's funny. It's very funny. I can't think of the best comparison I can think of in terms of just it's a weird, dry sense of humor that you would get. It's very similar to the Fantastic Mr. Fox.
yeah,
Wes Anderson, like that kind of sense of humor, like that kind of dry sense of humor.
so weird.
Yeah,
Weird,
kind of weird. Yeah, it like there's some lines and some jokes in it that were like I genuinely laughed out loud. Like it was very funny. In a way that's like it was an interesting take on cloning. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Fully recommend. Duel, Dual, Duel. Hey everybody, it's NCard Justin here once again to ask you the question, have you seen Duel? I would be surprised if you had, but if you had, let me know what you thought of it down below. Or if you haven't seen it, does this interest you in watching it? Let me know in the comments. Otherwise, you can click the video on the left, and that's going to take you to the full episode where we talked about all kinds of different clone stuff, including an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Or you can click the video on the right, and that's going to take you to a random video that YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy. Otherwise, hit subscribe if you haven't, hit that like button, and we'll see you in the next video, everybody. Have a good day.